The Enlightenment Practices of Patanjali special episode. The mysterious life of Patanjali, seer of silence, sage of the soul. Before the Yoga Sutras, before the 8 limbs, before modern yoga mats and breathwork studios, there was a voice in the silence, a presence behind the curtain of thought. That presence was Patanjali, not just a man, but a mystery. A seer who mapped the inner world with precision and grace, yet left behind almost nothing about himself. Who was Patanjali? Was he one sage or many? Where did he come from? And how did his voice become the eternal compass for those walking the path of stillness? Today we journey into the sacred history, the hidden biography of the sage who gave the world its most refined mirror, the Yoga Sutras. Segment 1. The unknown origins of a cosmic mind. Patanjali's life is veiled in silence. Historians estimate he lived sometime between the 2nd century before the Common Era and the 4th century after. That's a 600-year window. And within that span, we find 3 Patanjalis, 3 masterpieces across 3 fields. One who wrote the Yoga Sutras, one who composed a commentary on grammar, and one who reportedly contributed to Ayurveda, the science of healing. Some scholars say these were 3 different men, but in India's spiritual tradition, they are one, Patanjali, the incarnation of infinite intelligence. He is said to have descended from the heavens as an embodiment of the cosmic serpent, not as a symbol of fear, but of consciousness itself, a spiral, a wave, an unfolding of subtle energy through time. The story goes that the sage Gonika, having no successor to pass on her wisdom, prayed to the divine. As she offered water in her palm, a tiny figure descended into it. That being became Patanjali, born from a gesture of offering, a seed of lineage, and a descent of grace. Segment 2. The 3 gifts, mind, speech, and body. In sacred tradition, Patanjali is said to have offered the world 3 gifts, each touching a different layer of human experience. Yoga Sutras to master the mind, grammatical commentary to refine speech, medical treatise to balance the body. In this he offered a total system, thought purified by meditation, language purified by precision, vital energy purified by rhythm. Few figures in human history have contributed so deeply to inner science, linguistic clarity, and energetic healing. Patanjali understood that to know the self, we must work through all layers, and he left behind a path that honors every dimension of being. Segment 3. The Yoga Sutras, a manual for liberation. At the heart of Patanjali's legacy lies the Yoga Sutras, 196 concise aphorisms that are less like scripture and more like a surgical map of consciousness. The word sutra means thread. Each one is a tightly woven teaching, stripped of excess, dense with meaning. The text is divided into 4 sections. 1. Absorption, what it means to dwell beyond thought. 2. Practice, how to prepare through discipline, ethics, and breath. 3. Power, the abilities that arise along the way. 4. Liberation, the final release from identification with form. But here's what most people miss. Patanjali never preaches. He never tells you what to believe. He shows you how to observe. He is not a guru. He is an engineer of awareness. And the Yoga Sutras are not about stretching the body. They are about dissolving the mind. In fact, Patanjali mentions the physical postures only once and defines them simply as a seat that is steady and easeful. Everything else is about silence, refinement, return. Segment 4. The serpent symbol and inner energy. Why is Patanjali often shown with a serpent's tail? Why is his body sometimes depicted as human above the waist and coiled like a snake below? This isn't just mythology. It's symbolic, esoteric anatomy. In the yogic tradition, the serpent represents dormant spiritual energy, coiled at the base of the spine. When awakened, it rises through the inner channel toward the crown, unfolding wisdom, insight, and ultimately liberation. So Patanjali's image is not just poetic, it is precise. It tells us that this sage had fully awakened the inner current and now teaches from that space of completeness. He is not bound to the earth, he is anchored in stillness, yet his message moves. Segment 5, Lesser-Known Wisdom and Esoteric Transmission. Few know that Patanjali's teachings were nearly lost for centuries. After the classical period, his works faded from public study, overshadowed by other spiritual movements. But his knowledge was preserved in monastic circles, in secret oral traditions, and in the breath of wandering yogis. Some say his sutras were never meant for mass instruction, but for those truly ready to look inward without distraction, without dogma. In fact, some traditions claim there is a fifth section to the Yoga Sutras, not written down, but transmitted in silence from master to disciple. A final teaching not in words, but in presence. In this view, Patanjali's greatest gift isn't the sutras themselves, but the space they open inside you. Mystical reflection. What kind of being maps the nature of the mind with surgical clarity and then disappears? What kind of voice speaks only through compression so that each phrase becomes a seed, each pause becomes a teaching? Patanjali does not want followers, he does not demand faith. He offers tools, then steps away. And perhaps that is his power. He leaves nothing to cling to. Not even his name. He is the silence before thought, the stillness behind the breath, the gaze that watches the thinker. To walk his path is not to become something. It is to return to what you already are, beneath all movement, beneath all story, beneath all striving. If this transmission helped you understand the mystery of Patanjali in a deeper way, stay close to this journey. We are walking the full map of inner awakening, one sacred step at a time, not in theory, but in practice and in presence. Subscribe to follow this path fully. And if you feel called to help preserve these sacred teachings, you can support this project by becoming a member. It helps us build the spiritual library, the book, and the living bridge of remembrance. Let the next breath be your teacher. Let the next moment be your sutra. And let the silence behind all names carry you home.